Johannesburg Water say it is aware of the ongoing water supply challenges affecting some areas supplied through the Commando System. Some communities in the west of Johannesburg have been contending with dry taps for a while now. The Commando System is Johannesburg Water's distribution network that supplies water to various parts of the city. It includes reservoirs, pump stations and gravity zones. The system comprises of the Brixton, Hursthill and Crosby reservoir complexes, resulting to some high-lying areas currently experiencing poor pressure or intermittent supply, while lower-lying areas may continue to receive relatively stable supply. The utility says infrastructural issues with the Commando System, which supplies Westbury, Sophiatown, Coronationville and the surrounding areas, is the cause of the years of the staggered supply. For more on this, we're now joined via video link by Gugulethu Quma, Johannesburg Water Operations Manager. Gugulethu, a very good afternoon to you and thank you so much for your time. This is quite a troubling story for many of the communities. I mean, communities in the west of Johannesburg, especially having been struggling with dry taps for weeks on end now. Help us understand just how Johannesburg Water can justify these ongoing supply challenges and perhaps the reasons behind this.
Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to viewers. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, if we are looking at the Commando System, it's currently the most sensitive and constrained system within the city. Of course, the city is, in particular, Johannesburg Water is putting all the necessary intervention as the interim solution to ensure that we maximize the available capacity and supply to the customers. Yes, it has been an ongoing underinvestment within the entire city infrastructure, but if we zoom into the Commando System, we do have a backlog within the city, not just Commando City, at the staggering amount of 27 billion rands up to now, which is the capital investment that should have been injected already. And currently the system is struggling and we are doing every means possible to ensure that we continue to provide water to the communities as mentioned from the Commando System.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying, but given the fact that, of course, the Commando System itself has long been known as a pressure point in the city's water network, I mean, why has it not been upgraded to prevent crises like the one we're seeing now? And I do understand and hear when you're talking about these financial backlogs, but just given the time frame and the pressure points that we know of this particular system.
Thank you so much. Actually, if you're looking at the 27 billion rand that we were talking about, most of those constraints that we are talking about are actually packaged in that backlog, because it's a number of years that has resulted to this amount of a backlog. Currently, we have projects that are there in the Commando System to upgrade the system. We do acknowledge that those systems, they came a little bit late. However, they are there to increase the storage within the Commando System, as far as it adding another Brixton, the new Brixton reservoir and tower that is there to alleviate the current pressure that is there as far as the storage is concerned. And we are also putting new pump stations within the Crosby system to ensure that we've got our pumping capabilities adequately to supply the Hursthill area and also supply the new Brixton reservoir. However, those are the medium to long-term projects, though they are at the advanced stage. And we're also looking at rehabilitating the existing reservoirs because they are very old, coming from the 1900s. And remember, those infrastructure, they also need some investment, capital injection to ensure that we rehabilitate them and we maximize on the storage of the existing infrastructure. And those projects for Hursthill 1 and Hursthill 2 are already on the later stage as far as the procurement is concerned, and they will be also implemented this current financial year. However, I think what is important is what are we doing now to ensure that the customers and the residents and the businesses within the system are getting water. We are reconfiguring the system, ensuring that at night we do close the outlet where possible, reconfigure, maximize the storage, and in the early hours of the morning, we ensure that we open all the outlets that are closed for storing, for the storage, and ensure that water is delivered to the customers in the morning. Currently, as we speak, we are able now to supply some form of access to supply to the resident of Sophiatown, the resident of Coronationville, and that has commenced over the past week, in particular this week that we are in. Thank you.
And I mean, I don't have time to go into just the specific maintenance issues as it, speaks to the breakdowns, where the actual problems are in terms of, water pumps or reservoir levels or aging infrastructure, the nitty-gritties. But I want to talk about this in terms of communications and managing expectations of residents. Residents oftentimes complain, that Johannesburg Water communicates late or inconsistently during outages. What measures are you putting in place to ensure real-time, accurate updates too? Because I think that also hampers the problem.
We are not using a single line or single means of communication to the customers. We've got public meetings, we've got platforms where we engage with the customers through the groups, through any other forms, also through releasing the customer notices. Yes, they may not always be consistent or coming at the same time because we are using other platforms to be closer to the communities that are affected and utilize those platforms. Yes, we release customer notice more frequently when we have challenges like this. And the biggest challenge is not necessarily the communication, is just the system itself is unable to perform and deliver water. And remember, when we're talking about water, it affects the livelihood. So no matter how much the communication is done in terms of the frequency a day, as long as there's no adequate water coming to the tap, it will always be the biggest concern from the residents that we need to do the interventions and maybe perhaps focus on those interventions that provide relief and access to water. Thank you.
Yeah, I would imagine also just involving communities, on your long-term plans will also probably help in that consistent communication. But Gugulethu, thank you so much for your time. That's all the time we have for this afternoon. That's Gugulethu Quma, Johannesburg Water Operations Manager there for us. All right.